Hello and welcome to Mindset Mondays with DTK. This is episode 187 in an ongoing series of live broadcasts designed for those folk who understand that the real work is getting better at being who you are at your core. And that is the only way to get better at doing what you do. All right, if you'll take just a moment, just below this video, please click share and invite your friends, your colleagues, your community to this broadcast. The more voices we have, always the richer the conversation, both during the broadcast and for the folks who come see it afterwards and still read and engage with your comments. And I'm super curious about what part of this globe you're connecting in from. And whether you're on Facebook or YouTube or LinkedIn, love to know where you're coming in from. Oof. Well, today's an interesting day, not just because going on right outside that window is demolishing the house next door. So for the last hour and a half, they have been tearing down a house. So if you hear noise behind you, this house is not coming down, but that one is. So I want to talk about forgiveness today. It's been super top of mind for me. And so this last week was the Jewish holiday of Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. Last Wednesday night at sunset, it began and it extended through Thursday. And we spent the entire time in services and fasting. So forgiveness during the period leading up to it and for some time after is really super top of mind. But here's the thing. So atonement, the Day of Atonement. The word atonement is defined as reparation for a wrong or an injury. What's interesting is when it comes to this holiday, when it comes to the Jewish tradition, it's not that simple. It's not just a one and done. You don't get to walk in once a year and ask for forgiveness or seek atonement for all of your sins and have it magically wiped away. That's not how it works. I've always been taught that asking for forgiveness and making amends is only the first step. True atonement does not occur until that time out in the future when you're presented with the exact same situation. You make a different choice. That's the moment of true or full atonement. That's when the forgiveness lands. It's not just about making amends, it's about making different choices. And here's what's super important about forgiveness. It does not change the past, but it does enlarge the future. Forgiveness does not change the past, but it does enlarge the future. For those things that might have been, could have been, should have been, would have been, they're occupying space in your heart and in your mind. They're taking up free rent. And that takes energy. And that means you're expending energy on holding on to those things that could have, should have, would have, might have, ought have been. And understand that whether you're doing it consciously or unconsciously, it's still burning energy. It's like you're wearing a backpack and you keep putting these boulders in, whether they're sand, pebbles, rocks, or boulders, it doesn't matter. Each thing that you carry, each irritation that something might have happened, should have happened, could have happened. I could have done it a different way. I should have been different. It should have been a different outcome. All of that takes energy, and you're carrying that around all day. And whether it's front of mind, back of mind, conscious or unconscious, it still takes energy. Releasing them enables you to find acceptance for what actually happened. And use your energy not to hold on to the past, to create your expanded future, the future that you want. Bottom line, this is all about intentionality, right? You see, it is absolutely impossible to write the next chapter in your life while you're reading the last one. It's impossible to craft a new story, to create the next phase, to design the next arc of your life while you are still choosing to live the old one. When we choose to find forgiveness, especially for ourselves, and turn our attention towards creation, that's a choice. This is, again, back to intentionality. We can hold on to this crap, fester over the past, we can ruminate and perseverate and just burn energy, or we can choose to turn our attention and our energy towards creation. And maybe the next time we're presented with the same situation that has us wrapped up, we might choose to start with acceptance and forgiveness. So, how expansive of a future will you create? Not can you, not might you, not would you. How expansive a future will you create from there, from that starting with forgiveness? Kevin said, setting the conditions, adjusting the being of what's to come and who you get to become. No, that's adjusting the being. It's creating the conditions for our next. That's such a powerful way to hold the idea of intentionality. Many of you heard me talk about the difference between a manager and an entrepreneur. It's a different mindset. And it goes to what Kevin is saying, that idea that a manager is given a goal. Their job is to manage the execution of the plans with the highest likelihood of successfully achieving that goal. That's their job. An entrepreneur is different. An entrepreneur decides what she wants to be true and then goes about creating the conditions for success for that truth to become reality. It's the difference between accepting what is and and deciding to stay with that, or choosing to create something new, right? Deciding what that truth is and choosing to create the conditions for that success. It is an entirely different way. And it is insistent on an enlarged future. It is insistent upon accepting what has been and choosing to create a new future, that enlarged future. So, fascinating way for me to head into this week, rich with forgiveness around me and acceptance, and more important, turning my attention from that to creation, towards creating what's next. And I invite you to do the exact same thing, is to let go of what needs to be shed, what needs to be culled, and look towards that expansive future, that enlarged future that you can create. And I'm eager to hear what it is that your enlarged future contains. So whether it's a direct message, an email, a comment on this thread, on any of the platforms you're on, between now and next week, I'd love to hear more about what your enlarged future looks like. And I'll see you next week. Be well.